There is an old adage in Africa that says, what an old man can see sitting down, a young man can see standing on a mountain. Talking about mountains, young people, and human folly, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a warm welcome from a Category 4 hurricane? I know what some of you are thinking. Hurricane, Gideon, we're not here in Florida. And yes, may I say, come with me on a journey to Florida. Don't be scared, it's not going to be Hermine. The year is 2004, and it's Hurricane Charlie. And I'm living with my friend called Charlie. How appropriate. All flights are cancelled from Orlando International Airport. The winds are getting stronger and stronger by the minute. The winds are getting more ferocious by the second. And yes, I have to be in New York to catch my flight back to Singapore the next evening from JFK. I have to figure out a way to get to New York, otherwise I'm going to lose tens of thousands of dollars on a table waiting in Singapore, and oil company is all too willing to give that to me. So there I was, I had to figure out a way to get to New York. My host, Charlie, 6'2", with a broad forehead. He looks very much like Alec Baldwin. And yes, he has spent 23 years in the US submarine. And he's about to get under immense pressure from a tiny little guy who is barely 5'6", with a weird name and a goofy accent from Africa. I said, Charlie, please do something about this. If all airlines are cancelled, why can't you take me to the nearest ground transportation agency? Charlie said, Gideon, you know, usually when flights are cancelled, ground transportation will also be cancelled. I said, Charlie, no, please, I have to go. I really have to go. I have given a promise to my mother that I'm going to send her some money to finish her roofing project. We have to get to New York. Charlie was very hesitant. And reluctantly, he took a last draw from his Cuban cigar, 3.5 seconds to be precise. He couldn't finish it. He threw the little stump on the ground, stumps on it, reluctantly says, all right, Gideon, come, let's go. I picked up my little belongings, jumped into his wife's old automobile, and we drove 35 minutes to Ocala, Florida. As luck would have it, upon arrival in Ocala, the Greyhound station was still open. Believe me, I danced an old African dance. And Charlie was mildly delighted. But we hugged each other. We said, thank you so much. Thank you for the time. He said to me, Gideon, remember this? Always put safety ahead of schedule. Charlie drives off. And I get into the Greyhound station. The line is longer than the longest line you have ever seen during Occupy Portland. And I was at the tail end of the line. It's moving so slowly, but I'm so believing that I have to find some way to get to New York. Barely about 25 minutes after Charlie was gone, the station manager came on the PA system. He said, hello, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I'm sorry to announce that due to inclement weather, this station will be closing down in the next 30 minutes. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause to you. When I heard that, I was distraught. I ran out, and to my greatest dismay, the weather outside had changed. The trees were all shivering and waving to the rhythm of the winds. And beneath, placards, plastics, projectiles were all flying all around. You know one thing that was not flying? There was not a single frog that was flying. There I was. I jumped into a taxi. I said, take me to the nearest hotel or motel in town. Take me to the nearest hotel. 35 minutes later, I was just sitting at the back of that taxi and still praying to find a hotel. Still praying. Unfortunately, every hotel in town was full. Every motel in town was full. If there had been any brothel in Ocala that night, it was
Oh.
Thank you very much. I sat at the back of the taxi. I was praying. For the first time, I had to say a Christian prayer. I said, "Oh Lord," the Lord's Prayer. "Lord, Father Almighty, wherefore art thou? Are you up in heaven? Are you here on earth? I need you by all means." Turns out, it was not luck for me. In the end, we got one last room at Hilton Ocala. I got in. I said, "How much does it cost?" They said, $435. I said, $435, is that per night or per year? They said it's per night. I checked in, but last but not least, late that night, as I sat on the table, chewing my fingernails, it dawned on me very clearly, that old African adage, what an old man can see sitting down, a young man cannot see standing up on a mountain. Thank you so much.